In this video, I'm going to be opening up this giant box over here and giving you my very first impressions on this super exciting Kite APC 60ED, the world's very first image stabilized spotting scope. And I'm going to start right now. Hello, my name is Jason and welcome to another video from Best Binocular Reviews. So today I have something really exciting to share with you and indeed discover for myself. Because in this box is a product which I do believe could end up changing the way we use spotting scopes forever. It's from Kite Optics and it's known as the Kite APC 60ED, the world's very first image stabilized spotting scope. So the potential of this, and this is something they're quite keen to push out there in the marketing of the product, is the image stabilization is so good that despite the high magnifications involved, there's the potential that we can now effectively use it from the hands, so without the need of a tripod or a monopod. So just how effective this image stabilization is, as well as things like the optics, build quality, and all that stuff we will get to in due course. But as you can see from what is next to me here, not only have I not physically seen or touched the scope yet, I haven't even taken it out of the packaging that it was sent in. However, leading up to this point that it arrived on my desk, I have obviously done a bunch of research on it. And if the specification sheet and the features list are to be believed, then I do believe that we are in for a real treat here. On top of that, I do have quite a lot of experience with Kite's other products, and I have reviewed and tested quite a lot of their image stabilized binoculars, their APC range. There'll be links down below to those reviews. But what I wanted to stress here is that I think at the moment, in my opinion anyway, Kites are pretty much leading this field at this current moment in time. Not only do they have a really good image stabilization, their binoculars, but they've been able to combine it with really good quality optics. And for me, this has always been a gripe that I've had with other brands who make IS binoculars, is that they will spend all their budget on the IS, and the level of the optics compared to other binoculars within that sort of same price range is always found wanting. For me, Kite have managed to be able to get not only a really effective image stabilization, but the level of optics are something that you would expect to find on a binocular at that price level. So without further ado, let's crack on and unbox this beast. As has been my experience with all the binoculars that I've tested in the past, Kite tends to go for a clean, no-fuss presentation, and that's exactly what we once again see here with the scope. Alright, let's now open it up and see what's inside. So first up, we have a wrist strap, which is not something that I can say that I've ever seen included with a spotting scope before. But then again, because the scope is designed specifically so it can also be used from the hands, this makes sense, as it won't always be attached to a tripod or a monopod, and you definitely wouldn't want to drop it by accident. As you can see, the strap looks to be very well made. It has a nice thick, very slightly elasticated rope that loops back on itself and goes around your wrist. To tighten the loop, it has a noose type of system with a slider that to me looks like it's made from leather, or if it is not, then it is a very good fake leather, which you just pull down to reduce the size of the loop to ensure that it fits securely around your wrist. The strap connects to the scope by threading the thin cord through one of the two recessed eyelets located on the sides of the body of the scope. The fact that it has a quick release clip that separates the thin cord section from the main wrist strap part is great, because it makes this somewhat fiddly task just that little bit easier. And then once it is attached to the actual body of the scope, you can just leave it there and remove the rest of the wrist strap when it is not needed. Overall, my first impression would be to give this particular accessory a very good rating. It seems to be genuinely well thought out and well made using quality materials. However, just keep in mind that as with everything else that we're going to be looking at today, with more testing, I will discover just how effective it is when used for real out in the field, and will update my thoughts accordingly in my full review. As with the wrist strap, the next accessory we are going to look at is another that I was really not expecting to find, and that is a mini monopod. Packaged within its own box, this really small telescopic monopod has a carbon fiber leg with 2 expansion points, enabling it to double in length from 20 centimeters to just over 40 centimeters. The foot of the monopod looks to be made from aluminium, and it is threaded, meaning that it can easily be fixed onto a tripod. Likewise, the mounting platform at the top end of the monopod is also metal and has a metal screw. Whilst this platform is not massive, it has a textured rubber inlay and should help with the connection to the scope so as to help prevent it from turning or unwinding without having to excessively tighten it. As with the wrist strap, this accessory looks to be extremely well made from top-end materials. In terms of its usefulness, I can see that it'll be great to use when sitting at a table, so say in something like a bird or a wildlife hide, for example. But as well as this, and taking a look at some of Kite's own marketing photos, to me it looks like it'll also work really well as a handle as well as an anchor point when carrying the scope on your shoulder when out in the field. So before we get to the scope itself, let's quickly look at the case that it comes in. Unlike most traditional spotting scopes that have a protective jacket that can, if you wish, be kept on the scope whilst in use, Kite has gone with a more traditional case that can be used for transport and storage. Access to the interior is via a double zip that has a cord connecting the two, which enables you to open both at the same time. And I can also see this will act as a quick carry strap when needed. The flip open lid also has a magnetic closure, which is a really nice touch and shows a good attention to detail, as it means that when you are often taking the scope in and out of the case, you won't have to take the time to fully close the zip every single time. The case has a belt loop and its own carry strap with a quick release clip. And because there are a number of mounting points on the case, you are able to carry and attach it to your body in 3 different ways. This is something I will get into in more detail in the full review. On the side of the case, there's a separate pocket with a zip closure that will be useful for securely storing a few personal items and, say for example, a cleaning cloth. The underside of the case has a wide elasticated band that at first I could not see an obvious use for. However, after a little more thought, I now do think that it is designed for carrying the monopod, or if it isn't, then it works very well for this anyway. The padding on the interior of the case looks and feels just about sufficient, but I wouldn't call it extremely well padded for what is a reasonably expensive and heavy electro-optical instrument. But overall, and as with all the other accessories that come with this Kite scope, I would say that the case is extremely well made, and you can tell that there has been a lot of thought and attention to detail put into it. Now for my first impressions of the scope in terms of its external design and features. Also, at the end, and just to give you a quick idea of the effectiveness of the image stabilization, I will quickly show off some of the initial footage that I managed to capture just after unboxing by simply holding up my phone to the eyepiece. So, my first thought when getting my hands onto the Kite APC was just how compact it was. The straight-through optical design helps with this, and whilst it may not be quite as small as the smallest travel scope out there, remember this has a 60mm objective lens, whilst many of those really small travel scopes have quite a fair bit smaller 56 or even 50mm lenses. In terms of weight, at just over 1.3 kilos, this includes the eyepiece, the scope is certainly heavier than it looks, but with the metal parts, added electronics, battery and IS parts, this is somewhat understandable, and I don't think it feels unreasonably heavy. The twist-up eye cup has a great action to it. It feels robust and clicks nicely into each of the 3 click stops. The supplied zoom eyepiece looks to be of a very high quality and has a really large exterior lens. Note that this is exactly the same eyepiece that comes with the very high-end Kite KSP80 HD non-image stabilized spotting scope. It is detachable, and to remove it you simply unlock it using the dial on the top and then twist counterclockwise. It has a click lock system, and thus presumably you can get other eyepieces to fit into it, although at the moment I am not sure of its compatibility, but you can definitely use this eyepiece with a Kite KSP80 scope and vice versa. So if you already own that scope, you only need to buy the body, which I know is possible. This variable magnification eyepiece combined with this 60mm scope gives you a zoom range of between 17 and 35 times. To adjust the magnification to any setting between these two extremes, you simply turn the rubberized ring on the eyepiece. This felt nice and smooth and had what I feel is just the right level of resistance. To adjust the focus on the scope, you rotate the large rubberized ring on the main barrel. This, like the eyepiece, was nice and smooth and feels very similar to changing the focus on a large telephoto lens on a camera. The scope has a spring-loaded lens cover similar to those that you get on a camera and which you pinch together to remove. This looks nice and neat, works well, and I like that it is tethered to the body via an elasticated cord to prevent me from leaving it behind somewhere in the field. Whilst the Kite APC scope does not have a separate extendable hood like many other scopes do have, the lens is set back nice and far from the end of the barrel, offering a lot of protection to it, and which should also help with lens flare. I also like that the inside end of the barrel is threaded, meaning that you can attach lens filters or protectors to it should you wish. This scope has an integrated rechargeable lithium-ion battery that powers the IS, the port to which is at the front of the main body, just under the barrel. It has a rubber cover for weather protection and uses a standard USB-C cable for charging. To turn the image stabilization on and off, you turn the dial located just behind the focus adjustment ring at the junction between the main body and the barrel. I found this to be a little bit on the stiff side on my sample, but really this is no big deal. Speaking of the IS, I was just way too excited not to give it a try. So this footage that follows is what I captured immediately after unboxing. Here I'm going to apologize for the quality, as it's far from great, as I was hand holding the scope, which is something I wanted to test obviously, but then I was also simply holding up my phone to the eyepiece. On top of this, due to the time of day, I was filming towards the sun, and so much of what I was capturing was in silhouette. For my full review, I do plan on doing a lot more digiscoping with the scope, and I'll be using an adapter, and this will hopefully enable me to get much better quality footage. However, I think for the purpose of this unboxing video and initial look at it, I think you can already see that the difference the image stabilization makes is huge. Remember, I was not only shooting from the hands without a tripod, but by holding the camera of my phone up to the eyepiece, made the whole setup even less balanced than when you are using it in a normal way and have the eyepiece resting against your face. Right, okay, so there you have it, the Kite APC 60ED Image Stabilized Spotting Scope. Surprisingly compact, looks to be of a really good quality, and overall my general initial thoughts and impressions on it and the included accessories are all extremely positive. So for way more detail and my final thoughts on things like the quality of the optics used, the coatings, things like the image quality, the image stabilization obviously, and how effective it is in different circumstances, as well as comparisons between this scope and other scopes, and who knows, I might also compare it against other image stabilized binoculars. You'll have to wait for my final review. So over the forthcoming days and indeed weeks, I'm now going to be both testing and using the scope in a variety of different situations and conditions. So I will most certainly be taking it out and using it for general wildlife observation as well as birding, and who knows, I might even try it out for a little bit of astronomy. On top of that, I will most certainly be doing quite a lot more digiscoping with it, and fingers crossed I'm going to get much better results by taking more time with the setup and obviously using a digiscoping adapter. If you have any questions or if there's anything specific that you would like me to test, please be sure to use the comment section down below and I'll do my very best to get back to you and accommodate you. Other than that, if you did like this video, please be sure to remember to give me a thumbs up. And on top of that, if you want to be notified as to when the final review does come out, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and remember to click that little bell button. So I'm going to leave the video for there for now and say thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Cheers for now.